fortune.
Oh my god, this wombo combo. I was talking about it, right? Like, the Rumble is such a good pick for what they had already with the Shen and the Jarvan, not to mention the miasma that goes on the ground, and now you have a bullet time layered over the top. Thank goodness they have the Keeper's Verdict, because otherwise this could have been an absolute disaster.
That Cataclysm value is going to be really high. Let's see what the counter pick is here.
Oh god, it is on. It is. I shouldn't have put that into... I feel like I manifested this, and I apologize to everyone, especially to the Gen.G fans. This is an awkward draft, I feel, for Gen.G. And I don't know whether it's an awkward draft because it looks so similar to the Nongshim draft that kind of fell on its face.
I just don't think it has a lot of damage. And it needs to... It's weird because you want to say, okay, the Lee Sin has maybe some agency early. It wants to get ahead so that you can play through the Lee Sin tempo advantage, but then it's got an Anivia and an Ornn, so playing early is very tricky. If there's any Anivia player, I think, who can play an early game and make a lot...
I know that it's a thing that's all over the place. And now it's infecting my brain. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to get onto the Rift for game number 1, Gen.G versus HLE. Whoa! All right, Life Esports fans in full voice here today as Keen. Oh, he's the train conductor. Love that skin. Beautifully done. Nice little deep ward here for Zeus. Does come down as he does miss the first harpoon, but
he was just charging his heat more.
Yeah, or something. Capybara there. Trophy. Do really like that. Yeah, they just emote for a little bit, and then it's... Yep, and he also doesn't have the passive now, so Zeka teleports back to lane, and Chovy is under very real threat. As Canyon...
is also under threat.
Yeah, speaking of threat, Keen is going to get the flash out here, as Canyon just going to safeguard his way forward. The Tempest doesn't land, but I don't know whether this Alcove Gaming will work, and there is first blood over the Lee Sin. Canyon, he can certainly do damage with this, as Steadfast Presence will deny the taunt from Delight. And a bit of a 2v2 here in mid will ensue.
Yeah, that was a pretty big win, especially because Zeus flashed Ruler's backs repeatedly. So there's just no way that he or anyone can obviously come over for the contest, but he needs a little bit more help.
Yeah, controller goes down. There's the flash in! Flash from Kanavi as well. Chovy is well and truly egged. And Canyon not going to be able to do too much to answer this. Yeah, he just gets out. That is the answering kill over to HLE. And I think one grub did go over to Gen.G, but that's all they're going to be able to get. As now Ruler fighting against Gumayusi. He's level 6, does have that bullet time, throws it down here, and Ruler looking a little worse for wear now.
He walked out just enough. Now he's going to use his ult.
Yeah. Let's see whether Gumayusi can dodge any of these. Barrier is now... Oh! Pops in with the fourth shot! Lip start as well. I actually really do like that. Allows him to be a bit more brawly.
I had a feeling this was going to happen when we panned over to the replay. I didn't think he was going to die necessarily, but I knew there was definitely going to be action in the mid lane.
Yeah, they need the Keeper's Verdict. There is level 6 for Duro. Glad that the LCK did show us that one, as there is Delight taking a lot of damage. Gumayusi makes it rain. But Ruler is able to throw some damage through here as well. They all scatter, though, as the bullet time comes in. And now Safeguard will get Canyon out of there. Flag and Dragon from Kanavi doesn't do too much, but there's the Cataclysm. Duro flashes away. Zeka not really finding an angle here, and Kanavi gonna get locked down. There is Canyon grabbing that kill. And Gen.G, I think it's their turn to take a Drake.
And Zeus also TP'd down, didn't have Equalizer. And I think they could have made a few different choices here to, for example, just keep their Rumble top side, right? They could have decided to back away from that fight. The ultimate there from Gumayusi, the bullet time was very low impact, as Gen.G just did not care about it, ignored it entirely. We are going to have infer. Guma's in this angle, right? And they're going to try to make a play here with... Okay, never mind. We can't do replays. It's illegal.
Yeah, Zeka is going to take a lot of damage here. Kick Flash does come down. Petrifying Gaze hits onto Chovy, but he's still going to be able to kill the Snake. And Delight just has to watch. And
where she could just kind of chunk at Ruler, but needs more help to actually really threaten any serious damage. As Canyon's going in, and then he's going out.
Yeah, he can kind of just dance around them here. Cataclysm does come on through, though. Kickback comes on down, and there's the safeguard to get him out of there. But now it's Keen's turn to try and get an engage, but he gets taunted, isn't able to throw the train back, and now Duro burnt down to a crisp. The curtains have now been called. The first bullet misses, second lands, third doesn't go anywhere, and they take out the On. And yes, the last one hits onto Zeus, but it does basically nothing. And HLE will be gifted a Rift Herald.
Now, Zeus, his TP did damage. Unfortunately for Keen, he was trying to set something up on the other side, but there was no way to link the two. And Duro falls first, Keen falls second. This Herald is a steal at best for Canyon, but he loses life for it. He doesn't opt in, and Ruler now in trouble.
Yeah. Zeka does get a little bit angry here. Deadly Flourish does come down. Stance United! And Chovy's down to the egg and then into the grave. Duro might follow, but there is the safeguard. And Gen.G just falling apart in the blink of an eye here.
In the snap of their finger.
Oh, nice little kickback onto Guma. He's overextended and Canyon will shut him down.
That's
Canyon going to have that.
Like Canyon he saw that play like 3 steps ahead.
I think most of us did, except for Gumayushi is now Keen. Let's see whether he can actually get this one to push back, as there is the Drake steal away from Canyon. Delight in trouble, bullet time fantastic. Flash away as Canyon gets him to safety, and Keen being a massive frontline, the curtains being called. Kanavi gets out, and they're a little out of range. Last shot does connect onto Zeka, and that is Gen.G.
Toby has been maxing his E in this game, by the way. 5 points in it right now. Canyon looking for the kick play on the Kanavi. See if it's going to mean anything, though, as he turns it.
Yeah, that is going to be equalizer down. That is a very deadly sin. And I don't know what the idea was there
Canyon
necessarily.
I think he was, he saw a play 3 steps ahead that wasn't there this time.
There he can. Minute and a half on this Drake will be soul point for Gen.G. As Kanavi moves in, teleport here for Keen. Looking to take matters into his own hands. The Ram can come out. Steadfast presence. So good. Keeper's verdict gets rid of 2. Zeka kind of on his lonesome, but hadn't been turned on yet. They look for the Shen first, and they'll find him. As Canyon gets knocked up, Kanavi goes in. Zeus already doing a lot of damage. As Gumayushi with the flanking bullet time. Not sure about that one, as the curtains were called, but Zeka not going to end the show just yet. And it looks like it's just Delight going down. And Gumayushi running a weird direction, might actually be able to catch up to Canyon with those Swifties, but not able to do so.
The biggest part of this TP trade this time around for the top laners is, okay, we're not done yet, because this time it's Zeka.
Yeah, we got another one. Keen just built Chovy a better rod of ages, but Zeka's making his way in. That's a great knock-up from Keen. Chovy flashes, and Keen stays alive. That was about as well as you could have. Wanting to lock themselves down this soul point, but HLE have control of the pit right now. Keen goes in, doesn't find the angle towards Zeka, but they are very durable. Steadfast presence now on cooldown. It is HLE that even out the Dragons. And no one is dead as a result. Ruler comes on over. We'll be able to grab some overgrowth here as Deadly Flourish and everything else. He just yells because he's angry. And that is the Ram coming on down. Gen.G controlling the battlefield, but now a lot of these cooldowns have been used. Phenomenal knock-up here from Keen as the bullets fly. And HLE have been entirely split. The equalizer doesn't do too much, but it does slow them down. Deadly Flourish here is now they're looking to turn onto this outer turret. And man, it was like almost a team fight, but not. And was just control
damage. They had to back, and Gen.G are going to get soul point after a deathless.
Oh no, there's the slam into the crystallized, but Kanavi will survive. He gets the ultimate out of Delight, but it's just not going to be enough for them to actually get a counter fight. And the bullet time, the Make It Rain comes down to slow the approach, but this is still HLE losing because there's Infernal Soul over.
I think this composition from behind here as HLE is just so tricky to pull off, like you're saying, that this aren't finding the agency. As Zeus might be the first caught.
Yeah, there's a kickback onto the Rumble. He has to flash away with the heroic charge, and then the safeguard out. Duro will survive the bullet time as well, as Kanavi looks for an angle, but Chovy stuns him up. Glacial Storm comes down. He has to flash. Deadly Flourish is going to go wipe it now. Keen is looking to put the screws in, and the curtains may actually be called this time. Great knock-up as Delight is going to be sent to the skies. But what Gen.G want is just more turrets, more map control, and more access to the Baron Pit, and maybe this dragon in 2 minutes.
Gen.G are so
frightening, but look at Keen. He is a brick wall. Just uses his shield in order to soak a whole bunch of that damage. Deadly Flourish doesn't actually land. And now HLE, they get to the dragon first. Chovy still towards the top side alongside Zeus, so a 4 versus 4 here in the pit. Let's see what Duro can do. If he manages to get a good ulti here, they could just guarantee Infernal Soul. The train comes down, it's missed as Cataclysm comes in, but there's a keeper's verdict, and Gen.G, they cut them off. Kanavi taken out, Delight nowhere to go. Zeus comes in, it's a decent equalizer, but not good enough. Deadly Flourish, and another shot will do it. Chovy teleports down, and Gen.G may have just won the game.
I think Gen.G are saying GG, as it looks like this is the end of the game loss streak for them in round 3 as Guma desperately tries to clear the way, but he's the target.
Heroic charge, just beautiful. The Crystallize was waited for, but it does deal with the wave. And Gen.G might actually like the idea of heading towards Baron.
It's like, well, I gotta show up, and he's still teleporting into 3 people by the end.
His Canyon went for a different third item in the Maw of Malmortius first, but look at this siege, man. They can put the walls down. They can protect these siege minions. As Duro looking for a flanking, goes Kanavi looking for Chovy. They throw down the equalizer. There's the Stand United, and now it's Keen's turn to start the engage. Only hits it onto 2 as they're looking to try and focus down this turret before anything else. And Canyon, just in this mid lane, taking down the inhibitor. Inhibitor turret is going to fall, and now Delight's turn to try and go in. They put Chovy down to the egg. They take him out with the bullet time. Gumayusi has done his job, but now the curtains are going to get called. Delight the first to go down. The 4th shot connects onto Kanavi, but it's not enough to do the damage. And now Zeka gets tagged. Oh, there's the double knockup from Keen. Smashes the brittle. Ruler is just reloading in their faces. And down to the GA goes Kanavi. Not going to find the flag because the real carry this game is the Ornn. As Ruler chasing after Gumayusi, and he will find a dancing grenade. Guma is going to get slammed into the wall. Zeus is there with the flamethrower, and down goes the Poppy. But they take out Zeus, and Gen.G, I think, will be able to finish this game.
There's just too many minions here. Keen's at full health. Some heroics attempted from Guma. He got the flash, he got the kill on the Duro, but he couldn't get access in the fight. He got Chovy, but that's all he's gonna get. And Gen.G,
look at how tanky Keen is. This is absolutely absurd. The Nexus is gonna go down before the Fountain Laser would have any chance of killing him. And there it goes. Gen.G will break the game loss streak from last week, but they still...
multiple rosters that have made them one of the toughest teams to crack in the LCK. And we were wondering, will this composition work? It's a little bit janky. It's got a lot of pieces that don't necessarily...
will be the choice. Zeka going back to his signature champion here.
I'm not sold on it, and I love the Zahin into the Olaf here.
Yeah, this has been one of the other options, right? It's been Jax or Zahen. They're the 2 choices that players have gone with into this pick. And the Zahen is like, the idea is you just stack up your passive, and then while you're reviving, the Ragnarok wears off, and then you can just kind of win.
The Braum has so much setup in this draft.
It's insane, the value of that champion.
And into this, like, basically almost full, I mean, it is nearly a full melee comp of HANWHA Life Esports. Good luck. Duro can stop almost everything they're trying to do, as well as have a lot of power in lane, as well as have a lot of power at level 1. Help out Zahin, you know, Pantheon's getting up into the thick of things. I think in game 1, we weren't sure about Gen.G's draft. We knew it had high potential, but the execution was going to be really tough, especially into what HLE had.
Spikes, and if HLE get off the ground running, things could work out. And let's see whether we can make it to a game 3 with an HLE win as we get under the rift. All right, HANWHA fans are so loud, man. It is crazy.
And we're on the Gen.G side.
Yeah, and they are still absolutely deafening. And you can imagine there is certainly a degree of desperation now, especially after seeing this champion select. There's Bloom.
Guma lane swapping top. And they are going to try to make a fight happen here on this dragon, but I just don't think they can get access here. Zeus isn't Olaf with Ghost Flash and ult, so he's going to be the main character of this so they can make it happen. He's running in.
Yeah, Canyon going to be taken down incredibly low to start this one off. Canyon, he flashes out of the way, but he's still going to go down. Ruler in the backline. Delight will be taken, and Ruler flashes, but there's the flash to follow. All of Gen.G are routed, and the dragon is even taken by HANWHA Life Esports. That's a massacre, and they're now in such a good spot. Delight, he can actually be a real frontline in this one, as Duro going to slow down Delight as he tries to make his way in. The Unbreakable there, blocking a fair bit of damage as he has to flash away. And there's the Vault Breaker flash from Kanavi. Ruler coming on over. He's going to look to try and slow down Kanavi here as the stun does come down. And there's the ulti. Kanavi may have overextended. True Shot Barrage comes in, and the Arcane Shift does get him out of the way. Now Delight's in trouble. Ruler's hitting everything as the flash comes through. And there's the Realm Warp. Finally, Delight throws down the ulti as Canyon was looking to block off the escape, and the headbutt is going to be futile, and Canyon will lock up the kill.
Disaster for Kanavi! He gets attempted. Bit of a steal away here from Ruler isn't going to succeed.
Still, I'm very intrigued as to why the Ragnarok did have to be used. As now Chovy could be in trouble. Perfect execution from Zeka. The flash, he just waits for it. As there's take a little while to equalize this Ezreal. This Rise, though, is going to be in a little bit of trouble. The Shuriken backflip going to come on through, and he is very dead.
Flashy, the way he set that one up to go behind for the flip. And Ruler's going to take this turret out in exchange, by the way, first turret of the game. So this lead gets bigger, it looks like here. This turret will go down, and there's a potential dive angle, actually, when it does.
It definitely is. Look at Zeko trying to find the Shuriken backflip. Doesn't land it, though. Zeus also from the other angle.
And he also has TP if there was going to be a big fight for Gen.G, and Gen.G are trying to maybe make a play. I think this is the right call here for HLE.
Yeah, the Zahen is a difficult one to lock down. Duro could be a target, but he does manage to at least stand beside Keen for a while. That's a lot of damage, and the ulti from this Zahen is massive. Still, the Corki locks up the Pantheon, and they are just too tanky. Kanavi somehow surviving, and Keen respawns just to die again, and somehow Ruler gets the snipe onto the vault-breaking Vibe.
He was surfing around the edge of that fight. He was fishing because he knew that with the time bought from the Zahen ultimate there, Zeka? I don't know,
Ruler, as Zeker's going to get hunted down. Okay, do we have another Arcane Shift? Strikebreaker at the ready, and does have that big shield as well.
Ruler's flash back up.
Yeah, I don't think they want to let this Drake go over to HLE as Gumiushi with the blast cone. In goes the Vibe, and she just explodes. Zeka gets into the backline as well as Ruler's the target, but he gets over the wall. Zeus gets on top of him, and down go both of the carries. It's a double for the Akali, and all of them are falling. Zeus, Canyon just ults away, and yeah, not going
You can hear how loud these HANWHA fans are tonight.
Zeka 6-0-4 on the Akali. And now, nice pulverize. Canyon gonna get delivered into the backline. Zeka finds the angle, cease and desist under Chovy. He's taken out before he can realm off away. And Ruler just gets swarmed by HANWHA Esports. It's a clean ace. And I think that we're very swiftly gonna be getting to that third game.
One of the fastest games that we've seen in the Legend group this season. 27 minutes and they are knocking on the door. They get Cloud Soul, they group as 5, and they run Gen.G off the map.
Oh my goodness.
This is the kind of 6-game night that I'm here for, Atlas.
Absolutely. The first one an absolute joy, and this one is a pleasure as HLE remind Gen.G who just stole their MSI crown. And they will be able to bring us to that deciding game. Happens as we move to the third game. Having a look here at the stats, Zeus did so much work. Gumiushi a lot of damage, but I think this was all about Zeka. There is basically nothing else for it. He found so many good angles. Got that solo kill onto Chovy. This composition is insane from Gen.G, and I don't think it's in a good way. As, yeah, they've got a lot of teamfight control, but there is zero frontline, not even a little bit of frontline. The only frontline is the frontline that they create by making HLE fight each other.
Yeah, I think that the Callista is very powerful at, you know, just kind of forcing her way through a lot of fights, but if she gets CC'd by anything, it's a problem. You mentioned the Gragas earlier as a counter pick here for Zeus into this Varus, and it is going to be what we see here.
It's Mundo instead.
Okay, changes at the last possible second, which is also a very difficult health bar to eat through when we get to the late game. And HANWHA Esports are indexing fully into scaling here.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not talking about the Shyvana turning into a dragon, but we're all late game. We've got decent engage, but it's hard for you to get on top of Inarf. You've got to get through a Mundo, you got to get through a gravity field, you got to get through this Shyvana and the Leona.
I mean, if this game goes late, it's over. Gen.G will just never be able to win. I don't think so. they're going to need to have a massive lead moving into the late game in order to really stand a chance. They do have a decent amount of keep away. The handshake's great. The scat of the week's great. Into a Mundo, they can do it. It's a fun draft. I'll give them that, but it could be a tough game to play out. Let's get over the rift for game 3. All right, I think the Gen.G fans figured out that HLE are just way too loud, and they did increase the volume. Let's see how this one's going to go.
As a young League of Legends commentator in 2021, you told me about one of the principles of the LCK, which was that you could never let Ruler have Kalista. Kalista was not meta, but it was banned in every single game.
That is true.
Gen.G avoids it. This is an early Nocturne gank, 3-6. Very face up here. Cleanse, flash, heal, everything's available for these two in the bottom lane for HLE.
This is going to be a tough one. Let's see whether they can make the handshake work as Gumayusi flashes. The fear comes down. The bailout isn't quite going to work, but they do get the kill under the Yanara. Still, I believe that was first blood going over to the Leona as now Keen in trouble. Kanavi just barely survives, and Zeus is not going to be so lucky. 2 for 2 across the board.
A while before we get there, and Canyon's here for his second pass.
I've seen this movie before, ladies and gentlemen, and with those flashes available, they can go for it. Canyon, Umbral Blades will be able to pick up the kill under the Yanara, and they could even stick around for Delight if they'd like to.
If Kanavi can get this done without an ultimate, I don't think so. Keen also has his ult to peel.
Oh, Keen steps forward, and without Ghost, without Flash, he is definitely going to go down. He wants to take Zeus with him, and that is not going to be possible. Really nicely played here by...
And once again, remove the 80 carry from the map, whereas this is just putting a small... What size he's wearing, but I don't know how big they make him. As Skooma is going to get some plates here with the help of Kanavi, as finally they'll start to get this wave crash through and pick up some much-needed gold. On the bottom side, though, it's a turret.
Yep, and it's a Drake.
You cannot lose team fights. Now we have a flanking Mundo.
That's a scary moment here as Zeus moving down. I think Keen knows the problems here. Chains of Corruption connects onto Guma. He's just dead. Keen finds it. And a 1-for-1 is not what they wanted. Zeus even has to flash. And the Ghost is running. Zeus will put him down. Actually, if this does get through, but it doesn't actually eat it in one shot. And now Gen.G on this Dragon. It is going to be Kanavi pushed away, but they dive on in. There's the Dragon descending. Ruler on the side of the fight, though. Kanavi tries to get in, but the bailout is successful. Duro looks for the knock-up, and now it's Gumayushi's time to shine, but he gets scattered. Keen gets on top. It's a double for the Varus, and Gen.G, they need no tank. They'll just murder you.
And that might have been the back-breaking moment here, even in this early game, as Zeus can't close the gap.
Oh my god, well, I mean, he can just kill the Varus.
I guess he can.
Yeah, gives them the good old thumbs up and points his little Teemo finger. That was very nicely done.
He's going to TP out for the escape as well, but this
happily
is...
farming here towards the top side. Rageblade done for Ruler as well, alongside those glutinous Greaves. As there's a Paranoia, they are looking to try and engage onto the Leona, but she has a lot of tankiness. Still, it's not going to help with those sticks. The Dragon's Descent comes in. Ruler, he has the bailout available. It's Kanavi not going to actually worry about that, as Ruler is going to go down first. But now the Chains of Corruption, absurd damage. They've got a backup 80 carry, so it doesn't even matter the Ruler goes down.
It's so hard to just focus the 80 carry when there's a Renata right next.
2,000 gold lead here for Ruler at the moment.
Really not.
Look at that Ren damage onto Guma.
Not ideal, because they're going to try to run it back again, I guess.
Let's see whether it does work out, as the Baron is kind of what they're fighting for at the moment. 1 minute until the Dragon. That'd be Soul for Gen.G if they could get there. Solar Flare is going to scatter the fight, and there is that Paranoia. In goes Canyon. But this is not the kind of engage that they're looking for. HLE set up the Phalanx, and the scatter will be nice, but there's not a follow-up available, so Gen.G will back away.
The first time in a long time, HLE know their place, know to be patient. There were a few different angles they could have tried to take.
No one is in the area. Canyon is looking to come over, but he's going to get the bad news too early.
HLE will arrive just the same.
Well, I mean, Keen actually, he went back to base. Kind of insane that he decided to do that, as now Ruler is on top of the Drake, but there's another Dragon that's causing problems. Paranoia into the backline. The Unleashed Power is going to take down this Shyvana, and now Keen is dashing in. The Renata goes down. Delight could be the hero here, as Keen is going to be taken out. Ruler is bouncing around like a madman, but Delight gets on top of him, and Gen.G may have just hit the use-by date on this composition, and Zeus is going where he pleases.
Scatter
and I think it's to the death chamber for now. As now, Chovy is going to look for Delight. He'll be taken out. Canyon is going to be able to find him. Zenith Blade does nothing. It's a double for Chovy. As Gumayusi is the last Baron alive.
The Dragon was not taken in that fight. They're now going to have to figure out right now, but they have their backs against the walls. Here comes the Nocturne.
Oh dear, there's the paranoia. They just dive on top of Delight, and he is executed. Nothing he can do about that. Difficult. As Chovy comes in, Gumayusi now going to be fighting against Keen, but I don't know whether he really likes these odds.
Chains missed, so that could have been a disaster for Guma. Would have lost his cleanse potentially.
On this Baron, they waste no time. It is spotted immediately. Good scatter there onto Kanavi, as this will have to be a fight. Solar Flare goes wide, but they get the dash cannon out of Chovy. This Baron down to 50%. Remember, they have the Rend, so there's a lot more secure here on this one. It does depend when Ruler pulls these sticks out, as they make it dark. And in goes the Mundo. They're still looking for the turn. The Baron is going to be secured, as there's the Fate's call. Ruler might need to flash out of this one as the Dragon. It descends, and there is the kill onto the Renata, but the rest of Gen.G are going bananas. Key now off to the side. Zeka puts him in the gravity well, and Key goes golden. This Varus is unstoppable here in this game, and they just killed everyone around the Mundo. Now Canyon goes in, and I don't think he should have.
Yeah, I don't know why he did. This Mundo has flash, and Zane's picking up a double, and it looks so fed in this game. He's bouncing around like a Beyblade. He says no to Guma, no bailout needed. Gets the bailout here, but there's no one to kill.
Wait, HLE, they're on the Elder.
That's what I'm talking about. They have that spawn advantage.
Well, here's the paranoia. Let's see whether he can get in. He doesn't, and it's Canyon that's going to die. He's down to the GA already, and Konami, he's healing back up. There goes the jungle.
On their side, Chovy sitting on 0 deaths, but those deaths might be coming soon. As HLE descend with this Elder buff, with the spawn advantage, with the play from Zeus there at the end of that Baron. Chovy in trouble. He's got to back off.
This is so hard though, because the waves are in a terrible spot here for HANWHA Esports. They have to dive if they're going to make this work, and I guess Zeus has an infinite health bar, so that might actually happen. Still the Arcane Storm, it comes down, it does a lot of damage, but not enough to kill them.
Could just drop his ult on top, and goodbye Gen.G.
Oh, Kanavi going to get turned on. Maybe he's a little bit overextended, does take a little bit of damage here, but is otherwise going to be okay. Get some vision over. Duro does need to be really careful. He is super squishy on this Renata. As Solar Flare connects onto Chovy, he gets McHale's, as there's the Zenith Blade in. Delay may have found the angle, but that hostile takeover is unbelievable. And Knop there, actually the Elder Drake is going to take them down. What the heck was that?
The Elder works against HLE, and they defend the push.
The Dragon
teleporting Zeka, and this fight will likely be the one to decide the game.
Yeah, they're not going to go onto the Baron this time around. It's Delight taking a lot of damage. You can see Ruler in that front line. He can actually do this. He's got a Jack Shows completed as well.
The main CC here is the Leona, and sometimes conditionally Kanavi, is they're already on this with the Kalista, and HLE are just going to nope out and push mid.
Well, they might actually be successful here, as Delight is actually just going to separate from the team. He should be going down, as Chovy will find him. The Unleashed Power will be invested. But the Baron will be traded for an inhibitor in the mid lane.
And they're going to try to use this inhibitor pressure to take the Elder, I guess. I mean, Gen.G will eventually back. Chovy is home now, and can HANWHA get out is the real question. They don't have Baron.
Oh, Duro, can he find the hostile takeover angle? That is the question, as Chovy has to flash away from the Dragon, but look at this AoE. Canyon gets on top of the Inara and takes out Gumayusi, and now Ruler is in amongst the fight. Zeka will be taken down, and look at Ruler execute these players. Now he's alive to deal with Zeus, who is not going where he pleases this time, unless it's the Death Chamber. Gen.G have done it. They've taken out HLE, and they have not gone to that 0-3 scoreline here in this season.
One lone Leona against the onslaught that is a Baron buff Gen.G at 35 minutes. Guma dreams of respawning here in 20 and carrying this game, but he's going to need more friends if he's going to do it, and they just are not going to give him the time. HLE took a gamble. They looked for the play in mid lane, and it did not pay off. That's it.
And I guess from 2020 until now, the rule still is ban Ruler's Kalista, because my God, he was was ridiculous in that game. This man here on your screen, though, if I had a POM vote, I would be putting it in the support column. His Poppy, unbelievable, and his Renata, game-saving in this series. But my God, hats off even to HLE. What entertainment here today. Relief is what we call that one, as Keen did a massive amount of damage, but it was not enough to eclipse Ruler. As look at that, like the little comeback there.
It's crazy.